Well, hello, children of the world.
Happy New Year.
It's Jennie and Levi Lusko in 2022.
Wow, you look
Chef's
so
kiss.
good in 2022.
Mwah. Chef's kiss. Mwah. Is that how chefs kiss? I don't know. I've never dated one.
Wow.
Kiss the chef.
Yes.
Jennie, how are you?
I'm really good.
It's a birthday week for you.
It's a big week.
It's a
all over
big
the
week.
place.
It's a big week. Not only is Hey It's the Luskos back from our sabbatical, our last time we were with you was Black Friday.
Oh.
That was it. Or Thursday. Thanksgiving Thursday. Some of you listened to it on Black Friday. That was an episode that was great with Jen Johnson.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then we went on break, and it's a new year. It's a new you. It's a new us. Here we are.
It's a new day.
Gathered together as a family. And it's 2022.
So we are celebrating
a lot.
Your book. I mean, Last Supper on the Moon. It's just been born. I mean, to the world. Obviously, it was born in 2020 on your birthday.
But it sees oxygen now.
But it's like...
It's screaming. We've slapped its butt.
Maybe it wasn't born.
We've cut the umbilical cord.
Conceived.
Whoa. Getting heavy.
It was conceived on May 7th, 2020.
May 7th, 2020.
And then it's been...
No, I mean, that's not true.
Oh.
May 7th, 2020 is when I began writing the rough draft.
Oh, but it was conceived.
As early as March 2020, I wrote in my journal, I look up at the night sky, the moon is hanging over my head. I texted it to you today. Let me see. I'll tell you exactly. This was funny. I found this in my journal.
Because you just texted it to me like you didn't give any context. Like, hey, this is a journal entry that I wrote.
And I was snowboarding. I went snowboarding. And okay, so context is everything. I was snowboarding and I texted Jennie because I found this in my journal because I stopped at the lodge and had my journal out and I was reading my Bible up there. And I texted her this. I am lying on my back in my front yard.
So I just read that. And
did you look out the window?
First of all, that doesn't make any sense. But why are you lying on your back? Are you in pain? Are you hurt? Did you fall?
And then did you look out the window and I wasn't in the front yard?
No, I didn't look.
So I wrote this. This is March 10th, 2020. I'm lying on my back in my front yard. It is 4:30 a.m. I am holding a pair of binoculars and mesmerized by the moon. I can see its pits and craters and shadowy texture so clearly. It seems to me like I am almost looking at it under a microscope. Superman. Why did I write Superman? Supermoon. It was a supermoon that night. Supermoon. It looks like the Death Star. And I remember vividly it did. So that's March 10th. And I had...
But that was like 4 days before quarantine.
Right. So it was right before. But I had, for almost a year, been contemplating writing this book. Mm-hmm. I had the idea of it back in March of 19. And I was so intimidated and I don't know. And so for a year I was like, I just too big of a book. What I wanted to do, I just was afraid to do and afraid I wouldn't be able to do and no one would get it, care about it, like it. And so finally on my birthday on May 7th, it was kind of one of those like, I have to cross the Rubicon, And so I just started writing it and I wrote for 40 writing sessions every day but Saturday for the next however many days. So that ended up being 40 days that I wrote, 6 days out of the week for all that time. And then I looked up one day and I was done with the rough draft. Hadn't told my agent, hadn't told our publisher, hadn't told anybody.
I love that.
And the book was done. I had a name, I had a book, but I was like, then it was like, is this okay? Is this good? So I waited another couple months before I told anybody. And anyhow, so the fact that it finally is, as of Tuesday in the world, is very overwhelming and very exciting.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm so excited for people to get it in their hands. Do we have a copy of it?
Oh, yeah, we do. It's right over here.
And
if you're watching, if you're listening to this on Access More on
thank you,
iTunes,
Mickey.
You won't be able to see this, but
here it is. Look it's so beautiful. It just, oh my gosh, I just can't wait for you. If you get it, if you get the audiobook, you should, because that's fun, because it's Levi speaking. I have a little few things
You and President Kennedy are in it.
Me and President Kennedy.
And we give you access to there's a whole section in the front that we give you access to in a PDF if you do listen to it on audio.
But I just want to encourage you to also get the paper, because it's hardback.
It's beautiful.
And it's just stunning. And I'm so excited because I read it digitally because Levi let me read it in its digital form. but I'm really excited to go through it and be able to underline. And I'm just so
Alicia did such a good job. Our friend Alicia Gregory did the design on this, and we had a guy named Martin from Poland who did the hand illustrations. And anyhow, it's out. It's exciting, and it's your birthday week, Jennie.
Yeah.
As of Tuesday, the same day Last Supper came out,
I feel
you had
so
a significant
honored.
birthday.
I feel so honored that I get to share a birthday with.
I'll
Last
never
Supper
forget it.
on the
Every
Moon.
year, I'll remember that it came out on your birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm 40.
Okay, I wasn't going to say that.
I'm okay. Like, we were talking about this with the kids because they have had a few situations where they're like asking a woman who's older than them, "Oh, it's your birthday. How old are you?" And there's
When does that stop being appropriate?
Well, I don't know, but I feel like it's a weird thing.
No, what do you think? Like if you saw a woman
50
and guessed her age was 50, you would not ask, how old are you? I feel like you would get a side eye from someone if you did that if they were 40 even.
Oh.
Even some people in their late 30s.
I just don't understand that. Like, why is that such a bad thing?
No, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying.
But I'm saying in general, like, why is that a taboo thing? Like, that you don't ask a woman how old she is.
It's because I think it's probably honestly rooted in secular thinking of this life is all there is. But if you have the Holy Spirit and you have forever, then like Paul said, you can say, I look in the mirror and my outward man perishes, but the inward man is renewed day by day.
That's good.
But if this life is all there is, and how I look and what, the wrinkles under my eye are then a betrayal to the only life that I have, then of course, like if your life and treasure is hidden in this world, then you have to cling to it with white knuckles. But if you know that, to die is gain and to live is Christ, and 10,000 years from now, you're more alive than you've ever been, and the trees are going to clap their hands and the mountains are going to run with new wine. What are we talking about here? Then you're like, this life's a blip. It's a small potato any trial I face on the way to glory, right?
Come on, small potatoes.
Small potatoes. The word potato is in the Bible, but only in the Message translation. When the potato was first brought to Europe, the Scottish clerics rejected it as a food source because they looked into the scripture and couldn't find the word potato in the Bible. And so they told people not to eat it. So only animals in Scotland ate it, but not the Irish. I wonder
if Eugene Peterson was Irish.
It's a good question.
But all that to say...
snuck it in his Bible. Well played, sir.
There's just, I don't know. I've loved getting older, and every year just gets better and better. And I've been told that 40 is awesome because you kind of like, you're more comfortable in your own skin because you've been in it for a while.
That's hilarious. This suit this fits me great.
This is great.
Yeah.
Maybe a little saggy and
wow.
Some
Too much. I don't really like the word saggy.
But I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand that. But I don't mind saying that I'm 40.
Well, happy birthday.
I like being 40.
You're 6 months older than me. So our whole life, you've
5 months actually.
Okay, 5 months. Who's counting?
Wait, 5 months? January, February, March, April, May. 4 months.
Okay, so
I've always thought I was 5 months older than you.
We finally did the math. My point is, now it's kind of come down to this. I mean, obviously, what happened when I was 29 and you were 30, but we're in a big gulf of difference. Like you're in your 40s, I'm back here in my 30s.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt so far from you. Just kidding. Well, let me know how it is.
Yeah. And
then I'm excited. I've loved every stage of life. I loved aging, and I really do agree with what you're saying about turning 40. Your 20s, there's a lot of still like figuring out who you are. Your 30s, you settle into that. I've heard a lot of people say 40s were very productive. A friend told me their 40s was their most productive decade. They had spilt some stuff, figured some stuff, and now they could really plow. And so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be good.
So, I mean, of course, we do still have a toddler. So, it is what it is.
He's not a toddler. He's 4. Is that still toddler?
I think so. I think till 5.
But he's a big 4, so he's kind of like a 5-year-old, which I don't think a 5-year-old is a toddler.
That's true. Okay.
And he's going to be 5 this
year. We have
a
4-year-old, and we have a driving 16-year-old.
He's very like high need still, in the sense of...
He's got 4 moms.
Lennox, don't run with that knife. Lennox, don't hit your sister in the throat. Lennox, like he still very much needs our constant supervision, really. Although the other day he came downstairs because he's not supposed to be upstairs by himself, but somehow he managed to finagle.
Seems
finagle?
Slightly inappropriate.
His way upstairs. But he came downstairs.
Let's keep track of the words you've said that have horrified me. First saggy, then findangle.
But I don't know what the actual word is. Finagle?
Finagle.
Okay. So, but he came downstairs and he was like, Mom, I did something without you asking me to. And I was like, what, buddy? And he said, I put all my clothes away in my drawers and you didn't ask me to do it. And I said, oh, buddy, that's so good. I'll put 3 hearts on your heart chart.
It was a good moment. It wasn't until later we discovered that while he was up there, he also filled your suitcase full of shaving cream. He didn't tell you about that though, did he?
No, he did not.
God bless him. Well, I speak life over this new year for you, baby. I'm grateful for you. I also wanted to just have a minute for us to come around the idea of new year, because this is still January. As of the time of this message going out, I believe it is the 13th of January. And that means that there are still some people who probably haven't broken their New Year's resolutions yet. But
it's just such a special time of year because it's a fresh start, new beginnings. Just my friend gave me this little, it's like a little paper thing that has a spiral, and you sit it down, and then every day you turn the page. And so the first page was this is all quotes from Billy Graham, and the first day he's talking about New Year's resolutions and how so many people can kind of knock on it and make fun of it because it's like, oh, you're making all these New Year's resolutions, but what is that even going to do for your life? And he was saying that it's actually super important and special to have this idea of a fresh start and a new beginning and making a resolution or two or making goals, because first of all, it brings our focus to inward, inside of ourselves. And it's like, what things do I need to grow in? What things am I struggling in? What things do I really want for this year? And it's so important to look inward and just remember that, okay, we have a fresh start. We have a moment to make some goals and make some plans and have thoughts. And then the second one is it's so helpful and important because it causes us to look upward and to ask God for the help that we need and the strength that we need to accomplish the things that we believe that He's stirring in our hearts. And so it was a cool way to start the year. And I didn't know that Billy Graham had said such things.
I love that. I love it on every level. Potatoes may not be in the Bible, but New Year's are. And the Bible does say God crowns the new year with his goodness, and that he has paths that drip with abundance. And so any chance to come to a moment of reflection, a moment of contemplation, of looking back, looking forward, considering, contemplating, like the Bible says, living carefully, living wisely, considering the time because the days are short, to go, hey, 2022, that means I'm 1 year down on how many I get, and life's a vapor. And I think that's all good for the soul. Yeah. Any attempt at bettering yourself physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially is good. And it's good to have goals. I think it's great. I think I was talking to someone the other day and we were just talking about cars randomly, and I'm not a car person, so there's not ever been really like, oh, I really want this car. My dad had a Jeep when I was a little kid, so I've always liked Jeeps. But it's not like, to me, one car is as good as another. Any car I've ever had, it's all pretty well the same. But
what was your first car?
Pontiac Sunfire.
I thought you had, that was your first car that you bought.
First car I purchased.
But your first car that you drove.
Cavalier, Chevy Cavalier. But yeah, I was talking to this person and I was like, do you have a car that you would ever want? And she goes, I've always kind of wanted a G-Wagon, but that's probably never going to happen. And I was like, why not? Why not have it? One day I'd love to have a G-Wagon. I mean, I don't think you should find your identity wrapped up in that. I don't think that you should think that's going to meet some hole inside of you, but I don't think God up in heaven is like, well, you better not pick a car from Germany. You better not pick, it better not be a Mercedes. Like, as though that's like, you could have the right heart and serve and enjoy it and use it to bless people. And I don't think whether your New Year's resolution is to see your abs or to get out of debt or to
there you are.
Read through the Bible in a year, or you say, hey, I want to buy a G-Wagon this year. I think it's all awesome. And I think for for a lot of people, it can be a really good time to say, hey, I want to grow in my relationship with Jesus. I want to grow in my marriage and strengthen it. I guess the only encouragement I would give is if you're still crafting any goals or resolutions is just to make it specific. I just a moment ago said, grow closer in my relationship with Jesus, but I would always caution you to not, I was talking to someone else and they said their goal was get better at something. And I was like, Dad, you got to quantify that so pass or failure.
Like just a specific action.
Well,
like I'm going to,
take my wife on a date night 2 weeks of every month.
2 weeks of the year.
2 weeks of the month is better than growing my relationship with my wife. Something that's specific step that you can know whether you did or didn't do it.
Right.
And I would say also smaller is better than bigger, micro habits. I'm going to do 5 push-ups a day better than I'm going to go to the gym for 3 hours every day and run 10 marathons every quarter. It's like it can be so big that you get fatigued so fast. Whereas if it's something small, something obtainable, something that you can know whether you did it or not is really good.
So what are some of your goals for the year?
Well, I have a word for the year as we pick every year, and my word for the year is invest. So I'm trying to really prioritize where I invest my time. And that's really what I'm specifically, of course, financial investments are great and wise planning. We every year save up throughout the years for generosity and giving and stuff like that. I'm focused on Ireland from a personal generosity perspective outside of just our church. We give our tithes to Fresh Life and our offerings above and beyond that. But then specifically, I'm praying for ways for God to allow me financially to be a blessing to Ireland in specific, and the gospel going into Ireland. And so I'm looking for churches and ministries there that I'm choosing to. God broke my heart for Ireland this last year. And so.
And if you're listening and you heard Levi's message from Passion, that it's amazing. And that's kind of what he's talking about here. But I don't know if there's a way for people to listen to it so long after, but
I don't know.
It's beautiful.
But what about your word for the year? Goal for the year?
So my word for the year is excavate. And I was just realizing, because we were heading back from Passion Conference this year, and because when I first picked it, I was like, I just want to go deeper, like in myself, in the sense of like, I want to learn why I react in these situations, in these ways. Why do I have this trigger in this situation? And so I guess I was thinking more inward, and I want to go deeper in the sense that I just want to learn why, so that I can move forward, and so that I can grow, and so that I can find some handholds and footholds to just keep going higher in my walk with the Lord and with others. And so, but then as I was thinking about it more, I was like, man, excavating is also in regards to my walk with Jesus, and excavating, digging deeper into who God is and into what he has for me, and just my relationship with him. So something that's so beautiful about excavation that I've been thinking about is like, there's the intense excavation where it's like you bring in the excavator, the big shovel things. Like, it's just intense because you're just getting a bunch of dirt at the same time. So there's like intense excavation, but then there's also tender excavation where there's like people who are archaeologists and people who are literally digging up bones and things that they're looking for. And so anyways, how that requires brushes and
good
tenderness and like being more delicate and intentional. And so I know that word just is going to mean more throughout the year, but I'm just excited about that. And then I'm also reading through the Bible in a year. But anyways.
That's great. That is fantastic. Well, invest, excavate, investigate. That's how they come together. Well, this 7-week series in the podcast, as we come back into season 3, we're calling this 7-week this mini stretch, the magnificent 7 weeks on this podcast. And every week we're going to bring in a guest to talk about something in some way connected as we continue to carry this message of this book. And today we have our friend Shane Kimbrough, who is an astronaut with NASA and retired from the Army, and just an incredible person. He just this past year came back, or actually just last year, 2021, came back from the space station. And so it's an incredible thing that we get to have just a little conversation with our friend Shane Kimbrough. So let's listen to that. Well, I guess what I should say is, Shane Kimbrough, welcome back to Hey, It's the Luskos.
Oh, that's right.
This is a repeat performance.
Yes. So glad to have you.
And it's the first Hey, It's the Luskos of the year. It's the first of 7 special episodes as we're coming around the celebration of the release of Last Supper on the Moon. So we couldn't resist the urge to just bring you on for a little bit here.
It's so great to be with you guys. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Well, we did a special episode with Robbie and you together just prior to your launch. And obviously people can tell from the scenery that you're back on Earth. Nothing's floating and there's no orbiting laboratory behind you. So welcome home to planet Earth.
Thanks. It is great to be home. We had a wonderful mission, but it's awesome. Awesome to be home, back on planet Earth, trying to figure out this gravity thing again.
That is the real truth of the matter. 198 days in space. It ended up being a little bit longer than you were supposed to be up there, or planning to be up there, right?
Right. Yeah, we're going to come back maybe about 3 weeks before we ended up coming back. That was kind of the initial plan, but things always change like that. So it wasn't a huge surprise. We were just hoping that it didn't get any further delay due to another major event we had in our family going on.
Yes, your daughter's wedding you're alluding to. And last time we spoke, which was not on this podcast, it was at our church when we had the chance to interview you, I asked you the question, and the question was, what is more nerve-wracking, a spacewalk or walking your daughter down the aisle? So now I'm just eager to hear the answer.
Yeah, so I didn't really know how to answer it before because I'd never gotten the opportunity to do that. But I tell you what, walking Taylor down the aisle, I was so just happy. I mean, I was just in my happy place there. It was such a joy to do that, such an honor to do it. I wasn't nervous at all. It was just really cool to have that opportunity. So to answer your question, the spacewalk is more nerve-wracking.
More nerve-wracking
for me. Yeah. Of course, everything was put in place perfectly by Robbie, right? And all the planning that went into it. And I just got to honestly enjoy all the benefits of her hard labor.
Seriously, she set you up really well.
She did.
You have mission control on spacewalks. You have mission control at home. It's appropriate.
Good point.
David McCullough calls his wife his mission control. He's a well-known author. Obviously, he refers to her as mission control, which is just a cute way to describe, your wife. And I think that is appropriate. But you really do. I mean, you lean on her, and when you're out on a spacewalk, you're kind of dependent on mission control, the voice in your earpiece. Absolutely.
Yeah. They make sure we stay out of trouble and that we're doing everything correctly, of course. Being out there 6 or 7 hours at a time, you're not going to memorize everything you're supposed to know. So we absolutely, completely rely on them to tell us all the correct settings on our tools and everything so that we get the correct torque down on whatever we're doing, or get everything installed like we're supposed to out there. So,
and it was three spacewalks you did this time, right?
I did 3 this time, correct.
Was it supposed to be 2, but then one kind of went a little bit sideways, right?
Exactly. Yep, you nailed it.
And that was the best watching you, because the first stab of that, which I watched every second of those spacewalks, he
means that.
I know, I really did. Shane knows that. Shane knows that I'm way too interested.
You must have been bored.
Not a bit. Dude, you had a malfunction in your gear, your suit powered down for a minute, and you had to hustle back into the ISS, right?
Yeah. So, like you said, an hour or 2 into the first spacewalk, my suit decided to shut down. So the computer side of my spacesuit just shut down. So we have a little screen that kind of sits up on our chest that we can look down at, and you can get kind of all the data on your suit whenever you want it. Or if there's a malfunction, then it'll tell you what it is. So all that just kind of went blank, went away. So I equate it to kind of your computer just, going black screen. You just got to reboot it. So We could have rebooted it right there in place, the conservative route. And what Mission Control wanted me to do was to come back to the airlock and get inside the airlock again, where I could hook up. We have a thing we can hook up to oxygen, so I'm not using the oxygen in my spacesuit for that, half an hour or so. I'm just drawing off the space station, so that was great. And then if it didn't reboot for some reason, I was in a safer configuration to be able to get back inside if we needed to do that. Thank goodness it rebooted nicely. Everything came back like it's supposed to work. And it just kind of took it ended up taking about an hour out of the timeline that day, which kind of pushed things back. And that's why we didn't. And we had some other issues as well on that spacewalk where the hardware wasn't behaving. But all that combined kind of pushed it into having us do another spacewalk to get it all done.
And that was you and Thomas out there, the French astronaut from ESA. And you guys, just watching that, it was like, you're carrying these solar arrays because you were adding new solar panels to the ISS, right?
Correct. Yeah, these brand new solar arrays. Technology had been demonstrated before, but a new one had not been installed ever. They're much smaller as everything goes with technology, right? The ones we have on the space station, the current ones had been there 20 years. And this is kind of the new upgraded model, which are smaller, more powerful. And we were just honored to be a part, of adding this capability to the space station.
And those things you're lugging around out there with your fingertips, weighed like 700 pounds, right?
Yeah, 750-pound mass. So like you said, I was holding them, with my hands, my fingertips, but controlling that mass was very challenging that we didn't completely anticipate. So it was I kind of held them for about 45 minutes on both the spacewalks that we did those on. And it was super challenging mentally and physically to hold those things without them moving around very much, which is what you want to do. You want to keep them still, but if they get moving, any direction, then kind of counteracting that huge mass was very challenging.
Did you feel at all like Captain America?
No, not unless Captain America was like, "What am I doing out here?" I don't think that's the way he operates.
Maybe.
But,
Maybe.
I see some of the pictures, and it kind of looked maybe Captain America-like, but actually doing the operations were very challenging mentally and physically.
Oh, I can't imagine. But there has to be a moment or two every once in a while where you're like, I'm going 17,500 miles around the earth every 90 minutes, and I'm holding 700 pounds with my fingertips, wearing a spacesuit that I just had to turn off and turn back on like I do my iPhone to get it going. Like, I'm sure, I know you're absorbed in the next step, but there has to be a moment or two here and there where like, you look down and like remember that the Earth's just going by real quick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we do have some moments like that, like you're saying. There aren't many, but every now and then, honestly, we only get moments like that typically when something's not going right and Mission Control has to talk about it for 3 or 4 minutes. And then at those moments, we kind of take the opportunity to look at our incredible planet, kind of just look, try to realize what a special moment and special thing that we're doing to help out the space station. All that is very humbling, of course, and just getting to see the perspective that we have of planet Earth, and then on the space station, just seeing the hardware that so many over the years, thousands of people have worked to make that happen, and then we just get to be kind of the benefactors of all that great work, and in our case, getting to add to that capability was really special.
Well, I love so much how you just were talking about your perspective and how you were, as you were on the space station, just bringing that perspective to us through your Instagram and probably other ways too, but I just saw it through Instagram. But they're just so, when you were just like, oh, I'm passing over Africa, or I'm passing and just the pictures, and you took a picture of the Monterey Peninsula, which is where I'm from, my hometown.
Right.
And that was like mind-blowing to me. And just thinking of people all over the world who you were taking pictures of where they're from or where they live or whatever. It was just like, and then even just the perspective that you were giving us, that whatever's going on in our lives, like being able to like look up and just see literally the bigger picture. And I think that obviously is so helpful just in the physical, but also in the spiritual, where whatever we're struggling through, like just look up and see from God's perspective. And that was powerful to me, honestly. And I'm so thankful that you were sending those.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's the social media piece. I'm not generally a huge person on that, but this platform in our experience while we're up there just gives us such an opportunity to share, like you're saying, these unique places around Earth. And, some of them, of course, I I'd heard of, but some of them I hadn't. But they were so strikingly beautiful that I wanted to get that out and show whoever wanted to watch. It's a chance for us to bring you guys along, or bring whoever wants to kind of come along on this journey with us. And so it's pretty powerful, like you said, in that regard, to a lot of different people. And so it made me feel good to be, I guess, immersed in the social media aspect just due to that reason alone.
Yeah.
Shane, you likely will never go back to the ISS. And I would have to imagine at some point
heaven.
Leaving.
If there's an ISS in heaven.
Well, there's not going to be an ISS in heaven.
How do you know?
This doesn't even make any sense.
After we die.
Until you go back to the ISS.
We're all going to be NASA experts in heaven.
Let me rephrase my question. Until you go back to the ISS in heaven, this ISS is getting decommissioned. I mean, I read in the news, like it's in the next couple of years, right? Or when are they going to crash into the ocean?
Yeah, it sounds like we've extended to 2030 was the latest I heard the other day. So that's good news. It was just not too long ago. It was 2024. So that's
right. Okay, that's what I said.
Pretty much upon us. So they've extended it to 2030.
Okay, then eventually, I mean, everything will be taken out that needs to be taken out, and they'll carefully bring it through the atmosphere, and which is a crazy thing to think, because some of it will end up in the ocean, which is wild. But I was just wondering, was there a moment or two before you left for the last time? Like, did you write your name on the wall? Are there any kind of like goodbye traditions?
Graffiti.
There are traditions like that, and yeah, graffiti is one way to put it. But we have our mission stickers, as you know, for us it was the Crew 2 sticker, as well as our Expedition 65 sticker. And since our crew did a spacewalk, we actually put one of those stickers in the airlock. Along with all the others that have been there, and we sign around it. So that's one tradition. The docking ports that we dock to, we do the same thing. In our case, we put a Crew 2 sticker there, because that's we docked with the SpaceX vehicle.
The one with the dragon on it?
Yep. So that's there. Actually, on both docking ports, since we had to relocate there about halfway through the mission. So we docked to both ports. So we kind of graffitied it up in two different places there.
That's awesome.
And then there's a place on the space station in general that you leave your expedition patch. So for us, it was Expedition 65.
Oh my gosh.
So we did that as well.
Was there a little nostalgia, kind of like you've been there 3 times, but this is your last go, like up there as you kind of left for the last time?
I think that may hit me later on, obviously. The last week or two while you're up there, pretty busy, and it's so dicey with the weather. You're going, you're not going. So we're really kind of geared up and just thinking about, undocking. And in my case, with Megan and I being the pilot and commander of the spacecraft, we're really kind of studying a bunch towards the end, getting ready to go, not really having that time to think about maybe not coming back.
Gosh.
In the week that this is airing, some pretty significant milestones. It's Fresh Life's birthday, Jennie's birthday, 40. And then also the release of Last Supper on the Moon. So a lot of exciting things going on this week as people are listening to this that we're excited about. And you play a significant role, of course, in that. I've shared the story on social media, but the day I finished the Last Supper on the Moon, you had reached out to me and said, hey, I got tapped for this mission. And we were still in the middle of the pandemic. Bob and Doug had pretty much just, kind of that whole thing had just happened. And then you were like, do you want me to fly anything for you to the space station? I was like, well, matter of fact, I do. And so, yeah, it was so cool to have you have the book up there on the ISS for those days, that 159.3 days that it was there until because you emailed me and you're like, hey, your book just left on this little cargo thing. So it left on an unmanned pod.
Right. Yep.
And then a little while later you went back to Earth. So just so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Man, what a cool opportunity that was. And I mean, the timing, obviously it wasn't our timing for all that. God's timing was clear once again on how all that played out, right?
Yes.
You're just kind of getting that, finishing it up, and I got tapped for the mission, and hey, let's get this thing up to space. So it was really, really cool. And to have that and to read, parts of it, of course, were really special already. And I can't wait for the release to come out this week.
Yeah, well, it's out now. As people are listening to this, that sucker's out there. So people can read it on Earth.
That sucker is out there.
That sucker's out there. It's out.
It's a big sucker.
It's Audi 5000. Well, yeah, it was fun to send you like little things, like when the schematics got done by the illustrator in Poland, was able to send them to you, and you were able to speak into them. And then you were able to fix one of the errors in the book from space, which was pretty fun.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had some help, I'm sure, from the general of the house, Robbie, on that too. But
Yes, indeed. Well, we don't want to keep you too long. Did want to just at least, I mean, I got to hear the story, and selfishly, I'm fine believing it there, but I do want to let the world hear just a little bit of the reentry story, because I know you've landed on the shuttle, which lands on wheels. You've landed on the Soyuz, which lands like a car accident into the jaws of death. But yeah, tell us the reentry story that SpaceX had for you.
Yeah, they're all incredibly blessed to be able to fly in 3 different vehicles and have those experiences. This one was different in some ways. In some ways, it was similar to Soyuz. Of course, it's a capsule, comes down on parachutes. So in that way, it was similar. This one has more than one parachute. The Soyuz only had 1. This one has 4, which creates its own issues, which I'll talk about.
But that's better math.
Yeah, if they work, you're right.
That's better math coming through the atmosphere like a bolt of lightning. I'm just saying 1 or 4. I'm going to go with the redundant strategy. Yeah.
So we had a kind of a short undock from the space station to splashdown profile, I'll call it, about an 8-hour profile, which SpaceX typically is around the 20-hour or so, that'd be much tougher. But due to weather constraints and things, we got lucky enough, and the phasing all worked out with orbital mechanics that we could do it in 8 hours. So we undocked. We did a fly around of the space station, which had never been done before. And so that was really cool.
And that's little thrusters you're doing?
Yep. So we kind of went out to a certain distance and then did a complete circle of space station where we could take some really amazing pictures that hadn't been taken in since the shuttle days. So in a long, long time of the space station. So Tama took some amazing pictures while Megan was flying us around.
So that was pretty cool. It wasn't autopilot. It didn't have the Tesla vibe. You guys were actually driving.
Well, everything's the sequences are all automated, and we are there to take over if need be and everything, even though they predicted it wouldn't work correctly, just due to a certain quadrant around the back of the Russian side. They didn't think we'd have enough capability to maintain the lock on the space station, but it all worked out beautifully. And so we didn't have to take over it all manually, but of course, Megan was ready to do that if she needed to. So we kind of get through that. We have a couple hours after that, once we kind of get away from the space station and start phasing to come back to planet Earth and to hit kind of the atmosphere at the exact right time. And so in those couple hours, we're just kind of chilling out, hanging out. And then it's time to get back in our suits, get in our seats, and get ready for what I'll call the fun. Although the first part of that wasn't super fun. As we're coming back through the atmosphere, that's usually a pretty chill time, even though a lot of G-forces are building up on us, which we haven't felt gravity in a while. So that, sometimes that's not so comfortable.
It's a rude re-welcoming to gravity.
Oof. Yeah, exactly. So in this case, the G's built up to about 4.5. So it's you feeling about 4.5 times what you weigh.
So it makes you instantly feel like you weigh like 600, 700 pounds.
Right. And again, having a reference of 0 for 6 months, it really felt probably like, a couple thousand pounds is what it felt like in our faces. Just felt like they were going to peel off, and you can't even move when you're 4.5 G's in those spacesuits. But that was a little higher than I think any of us were expecting. So that was a bit of a surprise. And the duration of it was longer than we thought it was going to be. But once we kind of came out of that and you got down in the 2 range when the parachutes and everything started opening, that was really a fun part of the ride. Especially because we're getting indications that they are actually open. That's a good thing.
Oh my gosh.
The parachutes. One of ours had, as the main parachutes come out towards the end, and there's 4 chutes, like I mentioned before, and only 3 of them open fully on our descent, which we weren't aware of in the cockpit because the descent rate was exactly kind of right in the window that we've been trained on, and I was looking for the whole way down. So we didn't even know that the 4th one didn't come out till right before splashdown. But again, it can land on 3, obviously, and it brought us down at the correct rate. We splashed down in the water, which you think would be pretty soft, but it's a firm hit, softer than the Soyuz landing in Kazakhstan in the desert, but definitely a firm hit. And then we're about for the next half an hour, we're waiting to get picked up,
bobbing like a cork in the ocean.
Yeah, we're just kind of bobbing around, right, due to the waves. We're kind of at the mercy of the waves, and that can be a bit provocative to folks, but in our case, it wasn't too bad. So,
and then provocative.
But that's,
I like the language.
If the seas are a little rougher, it can be a be a more interesting day. Let me put
well,
it
there's
that way.
the interesting things
you
that
say
have
this all
happened.
so kindly.
Yeah, it's true. He does. He does. He puts it very graciously in his Yelp review for the
I feel like I would be like, and then I almost threw up because I felt like I was weighed 1,000 pounds.
That's not how astronauts talk.
Okay, that's why I'm not astronaut.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah. And then, you're on the ship and they're pulling you out. You're like Neo coming out of the cocoon, like you're like smiling, but like your limbs are like, what's going on here, man?
Yeah. So it's an interesting, your body's gone through a ton, right? In this last hour or so, it's all the changes it's gone through. And we don't necessarily feel great, as you probably can tell on some of the video. We haven't seen the sun in 6 months, so we're very pale. And, so that doesn't help, the way we look anyway. But in general, I felt really good. I felt, dizzy like everybody does, because your inner ear, the sense of balance, is trying to figure out where it is. And it's not sure for the first couple of days you're home. But we kind of get taken to a medical area there on the ship, and they take great care of us with some incredible nurses and doctors. And that's only about an hour. And then we get put on a helicopter that lands on the ship. And then the helicopter flies us away to the nearest airport. In our case, it was Pensacola. And then the NASA jet's waiting on us there to bring us home. So literally,
and you
about
slept
5
in
hours.
your own bed that night.
Yeah. Like 5 hours after we splashed down, we were back in Houston. Had a few more hours of testing after we got home, but then I got to go back home and
then it's some Mexican food. It's a dance party. I'm sure it's pretty simple foods for a little while, right?
It is, yeah, good point. So even though I wanted Mexican or something like that, I hadn't done in a while, my body just wouldn't let me do it for a couple days.
Oh my God.
You would pay the bill for that one for sure.
So then what did you, like, what were you eating? Just like crackers?
Really,
and
I wasn't
broth?
eating much, but if I ate something, it'd be like peanut butter sandwich or, crackers, those kind of things. Just nothing spicy really right off the bat, or nothing too heavy.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you mentioned, your body was a little bit, you getting used to life again. You had some lower back pain. I talked to you at one point. You had just finished an astronaut massage, which they're moving fluids around carefully. I said that the spa should start offering astronaut massages. I would pay for one, man. Are you kidding me?
To move around fluids in your body?
Take me that astronaut massage. Oh, sir, you don't need it. I don't care. I just want one.
I just want one. Yeah.
But then what was interesting, I saw you at the wedding, your daughter's wedding, and you were in a tuxedo, bro, and you were jacked. And you told me that you actually did so much working out that you ended up kind of like coming home and you were like surprised by your own power.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We work out 2 hours a day up there every day. So, I mean, if anybody did that in a gym on Earth too, you'd be much better shape when you got home. So
you did that last time too, though, but you said you were stronger this time on Earth, right?
Yeah. Strength wise, my strength was really good. I mean, the last month or so, a couple of us really got into kind of pushing each other while we were up there. And that was nice to have buddies like that got us going, because we just knew that kind of the harder you work, especially that last month, the better you're going to be off for recovery when you get home. So that really motivated us to do that. And it was the weights I was lifting were kind of Levi weights. I couldn't believe it when I got home. They were ridiculous.
Well, these days it's just tennis weights, but even that got put a dampener on when I broke my pinky. So, I'm telling you, bro, you were like James Bonding that tuxedo hardcore.
Oh, you're too nice.
You've always had that chiseled jaw and that army vibe, but I'll tell you what, the space did good for you.
Thanks.
Well, look, we can't thank you enough for coming to make this birthday week just so exciting. 15 for Fresh Life, 40 for Jennie, and 0 now.
Oh, 0
0 for Last Supper. She's a little newborn baby.
It's a newborn baby.
And so we love you, Shane.
Well, thanks. Love you guys. Thanks for having me on. And it's always a pleasure talking to you, and can't wait to see you guys soon.
Yes, Valentine's Day.
But we should do Valentine's Day too.
No, we already are planning Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
Well, we did.
I mean, I'm not currently planning, but we are collectively
We did have a very fun double date Valentine's Day.
Mission Control.
Mission Control. We're doing Valentine's Day in 2022 again. That's coming in hot too, so we better get on that if we're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask, there's a lot going on in space right now. There's so much. I mean, we had, while you were up there, you had Inspiration 4 cruise up there with 4 civilians, which is so noteworthy. You have James Webb currently on its way to the 1 million mile mark, and then you've got the talks of a space station being built around the moon.
Yep.
What to you is the most fascinating of the different kind of things that are happening in the space world?
I'm always kind of partial to the moon. I think because when I was growing up as a kid, that's when the astronauts were landing on the moon. So that's kind of what motivated me to want to get in this business in the first place. And so for me, just getting back to the moon and sustaining life on the moon, which we haven't done before, is the big push. Obviously, from our the astronaut office currently, James Webb's a whole nother side of things and a whole nother NASA center, which is equally or even more stunning and amazing what that thing's gonna show. But for me personally, it's getting back to the moon and seeing my colleagues get up there, and then we get kind of figuring out how to sustain life on a planetary body like that, and then take all that stuff we learned here in a couple decades and go to Mars.
Yeah. Now, Shane, of course, you don't have to convince me, and you don't have to convince anybody, but I give my case for why it matters in the book, and I have a whole chapter, really a lot of where I talk about it from my perspective. But what do you say to the person who's like, oh man, there's so many problems on Earth. It's the big trope, right? It's been around forever. So why all the energy going out of space when we've got problems on Earth? What's kind of your elevator kind of response to that?
That's a good question, tough question to answer a lot of times. But to me, we as humans have always been explorers. And so we're no different now than we were way back when. We always want to go to that next frontier, no matter what it is, as human beings. And so, we at NASA have the opportunity to kind of forge that next frontier, being another planetary body first, sustaining life there, like I mentioned, on the moon, and then going to another planet, which we've never put another human on before. That's a huge leap, mainly due to the distance that Mars is away from the Earth, even though it's the closest planet, right? It is millions and millions of miles away. So that in itself creates challenges that we right now currently can't do. That's why we're not sending people there right now. But over the next few decades, hopefully the technology will be there to allow that to happen. That is our mission, to get there in the next couple of decades. So NASA is committed to doing that. There's maybe some other companies that might beat us there beforehand because they can move a little quicker than we do. But NASA is committing to getting there in the next few decades.
Incredible. Well, that's well said. And
so
with that, we have so much appreciation, respect, and gratitude for your sacrifice and your service, both in the Army and at NASA, and then personally, we for your friendship as well.
So much.
Thanks, guys. Love you guys. Can't wait to see you soon.
Jennie, that was an amazing conversation.
Oh my gosh. So
I know
fun.
It was supposed to be just phone a friend for a second, but then I was like, wait, I have 1,000 more questions.
Yeah, and you probably could have kept going for 2
to 3 years. He's the kind of guy I want to get locked in a bunker with on accident or on purpose. And I mean, you're definitely on the list too,
Oh, thanks.
A few clicks back, but he's the best. Not only would he be handy in a trial.
I wouldn't bring a lot of intellectual, jolting.
But you're easy on the eyes. Jolting? Yes, you do. You jolt me with lightning every time I see you.
No, but it's so amazing because we've gotten to spend so much time with him and Robbie. And we talk about Valentine's Day because literally last year we had Valentine's Day dinner with them at Johnny Carino's.
Nope.
Oh, what?
Carabas. The original Carabas in Houston, Texas. Not Johnny Carino's.
Okay. I was wrong. But
it's the original. So if you've been to Carabas around the country, it's great. But in Houston, where Carabas started, there's what's called the original Carabas, which is different.
Yeah.
It's a couple stores run by the guy who started Carabas, but done as they were in the original day with the original menu before it became a franchise around the country.
Right.
Product plug.
So anyways, we spent 3 hours at Valentine's Day dinner with them.
So good.
And then we just had we literally spent the weekend with them.
We just kept making them come to stuff. They came to church where I preached.
Yeah, we
went to NASA, toured it together.
Went to meals, but all the time that we've spent with them, there's always so much to talk about. It's anyways, that was just such a sweet little moment.
He's an astronaut.
So much,
literally that
so many
statement.
Questions.
He's an astronaut. Okay, so when you go what's that stand-up comedy guys, once no matter what someone's saying about their job or what they do, the moment someone's like, oh, I'm an astronaut, it's it's already it's over. Nothing beats that. I don't know, I went to space one time or 3 times. It's fantastic.
So amazing. So thank you.
Well, this has been a wonderful day. I feel like a kid in a candy store. I'm so grateful for you. Speak life over this new year of your life.
Thank you.
So happy for Fresh Life's birthday, our church's 15th birthday. Can't believe we have, the average church in America, the statistics I remember were that most don't make it past the 2-year mark. Mm-hmm. And many pastors and church staff members don't make it, 18 months in an assignment. And so we just are grateful to God for the long suffering and endurance and power He's given us to be here serving Him in this church that we love, that our family's grown up in and been so blessed by for these 15 years. So we just give God the glory for that. And now is this, books out, and we're celebrating that. And then the podcast is back because it's been on a little bit of a sabbatical. It's just, I'm excited. I'm brimming over with faith for the future. Yeah. I'm thankful to every person who listens, that you listen to this podcast, that it means something to you, that you put it on in the gym, or that you listen to it while you cook or you drive or you take a walk and bring us with you. It means more than I can say. Yeah. And I'm just exceedingly grateful for the opportunity. And I hope it encourages you. And I hope you know that it's from our heart. The silliness is intentionally there. We're just really grateful.
Yeah. So grateful. And this year's going to be great. So much to look forward to. And God's good.
All right. We speak that over you. And we have so many great episodes lined up, specifically these first magnificent 7 that are coming. There's 6 left, are going to be incredible. Next week is going to be something special, and then the week after. I mean, they're all good. So, thanks for listening. Leave a comment on social media if you see the chance, or a review or rating on iTunes. And as always, any sharing of the word or spreading of the episodes that you're willing to do means a lot to us.
Yeah,
so,
we love you.
Until next time, Jennie and Levi Lusko saying adieu.
Goodbye.
She says
Adios.
bye, I say adieu.
Adios.
You say
sayonara.
Yes. I say no.
Hola.
Hola?
Aloha.
You mean hola?
Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo. Cheers. Buenas tardes. Thank you so much for listening. And be sure to swing by levilusko.com to see what's going on in our world, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. In the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media. Jennie and Levi Lusko, out.